June 12th afternoon, Ahmedabad's PJ Hospital. There was chaos and fire as the debris of Air India 171, Boeing 787 Dreamliner lay everywhere. From under the rubble and pile of soft soil that saved his life, a dazed and bruised passenger Vishwas Kumar opened his eyes, somehow pushed past that rubble, opened his seatbelt, got up and was shocked to see the remains of an air hostess and a passenger who were all hale and hearty just moments ago. His senses were working properly despite unbearable heat in the rubble. As he looked towards his left and noticed the broken emergency exit door, he managed to crawl out of the broken door and limp his way out of the smoke and rubble. Surprisingly conscious enough to take out his phone and video call his father in London. Lane Fatioche. Seeing him come out of the gate next to the crash site, a paramedic spotted him and tried to help him.
Come with me to the ambulance.
But a dazed Vishwas resisted and started to walk back to the crash site.
My brother Ajay is still there. I have to find him.
June 12th, an hour before AI-171's takeoff, Captain Sumit Sabharwal called his old father. Just 1 or 2 more flights, then I'll get to spend more time with you. Dr. Komi Vyas, a well-regarded physician from Udaipur, was going with her family to settle in London. Former Chief Minister of Gujarat, Vijay Rupani, was also on the same flight, going to visit his family in London. Owners of Cargo Motors, Pramukh Nanda and his wife, were accompanying their son Prayas to settle in for higher education abroad. Many other enthusiastic flyers were there. Grandparents eager to see their grandchildren for the first time. Couples going to meet children settled abroad and students waiting to build careers. Then there was UK-based Indian businessman Vishwas Kumar Ramesh sitting at 11A, the emergency exit, with his brothers sitting across the aisle at 11J, both returning from a family vacation in Gujarat. The weather was stable, visibility was clear, temperature was high but within operational limits. Apparently, all was good. Flight AI-171 had a full-length takeoff on a 3.5-kilometer runway. And after reaching a maximum altitude of 625 feet, the aircraft started to descend abruptly. It had only been seconds after takeoff and the green and white emergency lights went on. Pilot Sumit Sabharwal shouted in a trembling voice,
Mayday, losing power, no thrust, unable to lift.
At the residential quarters of BJ Medical College, it was lunch hour at the mess. Dr. Ramakrishna was eating his meal when he heard something and got startled, shouted by doctors outside who looked above and were horrified.
That plane is flying dangerously low.
Because just 30-odd seconds after takeoff, the ill-fated AI-171 plane thudded into the college hostel with a loud noise. Boeing Dreamliner, was it? But Captain Sabharwal's dream to spend time with his father shattered. Udaipur doctor's family dream to start a new chapter of their life met a horrifying end. Vijay Rupani left the world ironically on that date that matched his lucky number, 1206. Doting grandparents, careers unfulfilled, all over within a minute. Smoke, fire, panic. Lives of some young doctors of this nation lost in the tragedy. Still, the trainee doctors and students who survived pulled out injured colleagues trapped in the debris. Their swift response saved many lives as the rescue team was able to reach the site much later. The doctors also worked day and night to get DNA samples of the deceased and give them to their families for last rites. And out of those 242 passengers on board, Vishwas from the 11A seat near the emergency exit was the only one who made it out alive. Theories. Now, based on the hazy videos of the aircraft's flight and crash, many aviation experts have come up with theories that we have contextualized and simplified. Theory 1. Landing gear failure to retract. Landing gear, that is, wheels remained extended throughout the brief flight, even during descent, which are generally retracted within 5 seconds. This can increase air resistance and fuel consumption while reducing aircraft speed. But as the pilot gave a mayday call after a few seconds, he could have been distracted by a bigger issue and forgot to retract things. And for a twin-engine aircraft, this issue alone can't lead to a crash and it might have just compounded other issues. Theory 2. Improper flap configuration. Earlier speculation was whether flaps, essential for generating sufficient lift at low takeoff speeds, were not fully extended, as it mirrors a 1987 Northwestern Airlines crash in Detroit, where improper flat settings caused the aircraft to briefly lift off, then go down and crash, killing all on board. Also, for a heavily loaded aircraft with 242 people on board, the flap issues could cause the plane to go down, even with a fully functional engine. But later images of the wreckage did appear to show that flaps were in an extended position. And it's tough to believe that Sumit Sabharwal, a senior pilot with more than 8,200 flying hours, wouldn't have set the flap at a proper configuration. Theory 3. Insufficient engine thrust. Usually 2.5 to 3 kilometers runway load is enough. Yet a longer 3.5 kilometers taken shows aircraft engines might not be providing adequate thrust, which the pilot himself mentioned in the Mayday call, and that combined with heat and the heavy weight of the aircraft could have affected thrust. But the right engine of this Dreamliner was overhauled and reinstalled in March 2025, while the left one was inspected in April 2025 with no faults in either. Still, lack of thrust along with landing gear and flap issues all combined can be one fatal probability. Theory 4. Ram air turbine, rat deployment, dual engine failure. After a few days of the crash, came out a better, less grainy video footage shot by a 17-year-old teenager from a nearby terrace, which shows a small grey protrusion beneath the wing indicating that ram air turbine was deployed automatically in case of dual engine failure or total electric hydraulic failures. Basically, it's a backup that provides just enough power to maintain basic flight controls, instrumentation and communication. Identified further by the distinctive high-pitched sound in the video that is consistent with RAT's operation, whose another proof is the sole survivor who reported hearing a loud bang followed by cabin lights flickering before the crash. But firstly, RAT is not designed to be effective at the low altitude of 625 feet where the emergency occurred. Like the 2020 Gatwick incident where the flight reached approximately 3,580 feet and experienced dual engine failure before the backup helped the plane land safely. Even if it has to happen, it would require an extraordinary event like severe fuel contamination, because refueling took longer than the usual 42 minutes, but not out of the ordinary for a long-haul flight, or an unprecedented bird strike where there is no blaze from the engine for that, nor do we see birds in that video. And as pilots gave a mayday call after takeoff, the theory is that dual engine failure occurred after the aircraft crossed the speed limit, after which it cannot be aborted. And even though it seems the most probable cause, dual engine failures are extremely rare and should not be judged on such footage. However, we will have to wait until the damaged cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder are analyzed by the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau before the exact cause is known. While another committee headed by bureaucrats and officials from aviation agencies is looking at the larger safety aspects of the industry. Problems with Dreamliner 787 and 788. Between 2015 and 2024, while Air India's 787 Dreamliner flights reported 32 technical issue-related incidents, only in 2 such cases these have led to accidents, and that too only injured several passengers. Since its global introduction in 2011, AI's 171 was the first incident for the Dreamliner to have casualties, and that too almost the full plane blowing off. The biggest disasters have been with the old Boeing 737-800 jets at a time when Air India was still state-run. Like in 2010, an Air India flight arriving from Dubai cleared off the runway at Mangalore and plunged over a cliff, killing 158 of the 166 people on board. In 2020, an Air India Express flight skidded off the Kozhikode airport runway in heavy rain, fell into a gorge, broke into 2 and left 18 dead and more than 120 injured. That was supposed to change in 2022 when Tata Sons returned home, as it was JRD Tata who founded Air India as Tata Airlines in 1932. And they did revitalize the airline, decreasing losses sharply from over 11,000 crore in FY23, the first full year after privatization, to just under 4,500 crore in FY24. But since 2022, DGCA has fined Air India multiple times for non-compliance with flight safety standards. Allegations of negligence first came out against Captain Manish Uppal, who oversees flight operations at Air India, as he was previously suspended over flight safety lapses when he was with Air Asia India in 2020. Post this crash, the DGCA pressurized Air India so much to enhance pre-flight safety inspections that between June 12th and 17th, the airline cancelled a total of 83 wide-body flights, including 66 Dreamliner flights due to such concerns. Sacked 3 of its officials for lapses in flight crew scheduling and rostering. Though recent inspection of a majority of 33 of Air India's Boeing 787 fleet hasn't revealed any major safety concern, the authorities are leaving no stone unturned. interrogating the staff who did pre-flight inspections of AI-171 and examining phones for any suspicious activity or communications that might provide clues about potential sabotage. While the black box of the rarest of the rare is investigated and hopefully Air India improves its safety protocols, this tragic incident is a reminder of unfulfilled dreams and how fragile life is. This goes limited. They boarded with hopes held high to lands where dreams touch the sky. In seconds all fell, no time to yell, just silence, smoke, and why? You will also find these sources listed in our video description section.